Testing 1, 2. Hi, Vicky. Yeah, there's sound. We just don't have any microphones on because there's nothing happening yet. Sorry. I think you can turn on your own sound if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves. Cool. Thank you. Testing 1, 2. Testing. So we'll probably be starting in 3 or 4 minutes, everybody. If you want to maybe start to wind up what you're doing and get a seat. If there's not enough chairs out, we do actually have more chairs around, and either John at the library or Michael or somebody can help get those out, or they're actually just right against the wall over there by the food. So if there's not enough chairs, feel free to just grab one.
You talking?
I don't know.
Get the sound up?
Yeah.
Is the camera off?
Yeah.
Do I have a link to this?
An email?
When was it?
I think it was yesterday. Let me look. It was yesterday, 5:14 p.m.
No, didn't get it.
I'll forward it to you. Okay. Sound good.
Got it.
There's a little thing on near the top that says register. Other people say no sound too.
Haven't let me in.
Hmm?
Maybe the meeting hasn't started.
Well, okay.
They haven't let me in.
All right, guys, we're going to get the lighting
There we go.
down here and get started in just a couple minutes.
Greg, why didn't you get there? We were having a problem. Okay, well, that's good. What's down on the top? Oh, those are the people. That's okay. Where's the sound?
It's on.
Students, and even older average age than the Orchid Society.
When? Why are they finally open? No.
And I know it isn't like how much work goes into those minutes you spend without witness, but I mean, one of the reasons why it looked easy to us out here.
Not who's ever taking pictures is not good. It's blurry. This is a meeting. I haven't watched a meeting because they're Tuesdays.
Minutes to actually
Oh.
ask these questions. And
No sound. No sound again. Oh, my leg.
And you chose Senator White.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Work together to really kind of like use our own to show what is happening.
No
In
sound.
this particular case, because
Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, thank you very much for hearing us.
thank you.
Coming up today.
Are you saying they don't have sound on?
It's not that they don't have sound. They don't have, the meeting hasn't started, so they haven't turned up the sound in the room. Hi, Tom.
Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming. I don't know how many people are here. Maybe Daryl, if you can count for me before the. Yep. No, okay. We have a few announcements that I wanted to make before the meeting, and then we'll get started pretty quick. So there, in addition to our show and sale, which we'll eventually get to, there are several sale events coming up in the next month or so, month and a half. So this weekend, most of you may know because it was in the newsletter that Naomi Bloss passed away, the proprietor of California Succulents, and her family and friends are having an auction of her show plants and her best plants and a sale of a lot of their stocks at her old place, which is in Watsonville, and so it's down near Monterey. And it's this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and there's information about it in your newsletter and also on our Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook/SF Succulent, I think is what our Facebook page is, but you can just look up San Francisco Succulent and Cactus Society and find it. Then there's 2 other shows. I know I told some people maybe they could talk or something, but I think we're going to keep it short because we have a lot of other things and we just want to get started. But there's 2 other shows that are happening next month after our expo, which again we'll talk about in a second. There's and they're both on the same weekend. So it's the Cactus and Succulent Society of America show and sale in Los Angeles at the Huntington. And then the other one is the Cactus and Succulent Society of San Jose's summer show and sale or whatever, which is back at the middle school, the Peterson Middle School, where they've always had it until the last couple of years. And both of those are it's in your newsletter, but it's the last weekend of June, what is it again, Tom? June 27th, 28th, 29th, I think. Yeah, something like that. So it's in the newsletter. You can see the dates there. So it's basically a couple weeks after ours. But you can't go to both. Well, you could if you went to one on Friday and one on Sunday or something, because they're in different cities. I didn't. I did not. I'm sorry. We didn't get them done in time. I didn't get them done in time. I'm not going to blame it on anybody else. I'm sorry. I've been really busy at work. So we will try to get some made. And if people really want to pass out postcards, then we'll get some to the East Bay. Maybe you can be a drop-off point. We'll get some to you through Fred. And if people want to call you, they can pick up some from you or from Fred or from me or from somebody and get them out to people. A really good place to put them is Succulent stores, but not for their customers, because we don't want to poach their customers. It's actually for their employees, for plant stores. Those are our most hardcore customers, are people who work at plant stores. So that's actually if you have a plant store you like to go to, that's a great place to take them. Just take a few extras and they'll give them to their friends and stuff too. So, again, we're looking at the newsletter this month. Our Succulent Expo is Father's Day weekend again this year. We're probably just going to stick to that weekend. One, because it's easy to remember. If you forget the date, you can just always look on the calendar and find Father's Day. For fathers who want to spend time with their family, that's okay, because it's only one of the 3 days. Or maybe if you're a father and you really like succulents, your family will take you there as a special event. So, people were like, well, are you sure you want to do it on Father's Day? And I was like, well, yeah, because nobody else's sales are that weekend. And the reason we moved it to that weekend was because we were conflicting with sales in Southern California and Fresno and other places. And so it's nice to have the vendors all available on the weekend that our event's happening. So a couple things about that. One, it's always in the newsletter every year, but we definitely need boxes for people to check out when they check out to take their plants home. So if everybody that's in this room saved your Amazon boxes for the next month, flatten them and bring them. Some of those were from the Dahlia Society, the ones that are like little half flats, but we may try to buy it from them if they're willing to sell them. I don't know, because they're just here. What? They say yes? They don't know yet. We'll find out. Okay, but the other big flats of boxes are ours. But those flats go fast, and we actually pay, it's a couple bucks for those boxes, but you get 2 out of each box, but it's still expensive. So whatever, if you're just recycling your boxes anyway, give it a second life. Somebody will use it. 2 people will use it, because Bill will get some volunteers to cut them in half. Oh yeah, that's the other advice is that there are places that throw out giant piles of boxes, and it was just a little bit of like getting ahead of it just that week. If when you come that day or that week, just grab a trunk full of boxes and bring them because we'll definitely need them and definitely use them. As in previous years, we've scheduled some really good speakers. There's Al Klein from Botanic Wonders, who's also going to be a vendor this year. And he's given some really nice presentations he's given a really nice presentation for the CSSA. And I know he does a lot of presentations for clubs down south. So our theme this year is leaf, stem, and base. So it's like based on what part of its body the succulents store their water in. That's kind of how we're organizing it this year. And so he's going to be speaking about like Pachycol caudiciform succulents. And then you might remember Julia Eder and Martin Christian. Julia did a talk for us. It's their shared content, but she was the speaker. She did a talk for us during Zoom during COVID. They live in Mexico, but they're from Switzerland, I believe, right? And they run crassuaceae.com and agavaceae.com. So they're very knowledgeable, have discovered many new plants. They've lived in Mexico for many years, traveling around in the back of the jungle, finding and discovering and photographing plants. And they're some of the most knowledgeable people about Mexican Crassulaceae and agaves. So that'll be a real treat to have them fly up from Mexico to give a talk for us. And then I think Walker was such a huge hit last year. He had this, the whole front of the sale room full of people watching his talk. So we're going to have him do another one this year. He's a really great communicator, and people love to get those tips and tricks about growing stuff. And what's great about Walker is he's really good at speaking in a way that both beginners and intermediate and even advanced people can get something out of it. So I think a lot of people enjoy that. And Carl, I don't know where Carl went, but we haven't talked about this yet, Carl and Dan, but if you guys want to do a Bromeliaceae, either like a Bromeliad table talk about they're going to do, their theme of their area this year is going to be Tiki Bar, is that right? And so, that's all I know. Yeah, we'll talk. But if you guys want to do a table talk at some point, we'll figure out how to schedule it. And then we'll probably also do like a judges table talk like we did in the previous years. And then Andrew Hazlitt, who's the president of the San Jose Society, is going to do a cactus grafting demo, which he's done on Zoom before and in person at the San Jose Club. And it's always really interesting if you're at all interested in cactus grafting or getting rare, slow-growing cacti to grow faster. He's really a master of that craft and does it a lot. And he actually took me, we went to see a friend of his garden a couple weeks ago, and it was just neat to see them talking about and showing all the cacti that they'd grafted. It's a really kind of fun. Like it'll be hard not to get into it once you see this presentation and see what you can do. So without further ado, last thing, a bunch of people have asked about a couple things. One, if you're a vendor, we're going to be sending out the next round of vendor information soon. So all the previous vendors who applied are hopefully coming back, except for the ones that have notified us. And the only thing you really need to think about urgently is get your order for your barcodes in. It's the same link as before. If you have that link, if not, it's in the vendor handbook from before, or just message Terry and she'll send you the link to get your barcodes from Peter Beiersdorfer. And I think he'd like probably those orders in by the end of the month so he can get them done and get them back to get you the barcodes back in time to get everything labeled for the show. And then for the volunteers, we're going to try to send out the Sign Up Genius stuff on Friday. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it through Tom. I'm going to send it to the members list first. And then like later that weekend, I'm going to send it to the people who volunteered before from the Sign Up Genius list. And then like on maybe Monday or Tuesday, we'll send it to the whole list of everybody who's on our mailing list. So if you're a member and you want to volunteer, look for that email Friday and jump on it pretty quick, because it'll, if you have a specific job that you want, they'll be going fast, but I wanted to give everybody the chance to get them right away, get it first if you're a member. So, And other than that, the only other thing is that, yeah, it's the same format as previous years. There's on Friday, it's members only starting at 2, but we definitely have volunteer slots open on Friday as well to help us get ready. We are going to have, Daryl has said that he's going to do a lunch instead of just pizza on Friday this year. So, and we need a volunteer to help. We need volunteers who don't mind working and helping with the lunchroom. If there's volunteers, we'll need volunteers for this room for the show. We'll need volunteers for the registers, the volunteer table, all the regular positions we always have. So yeah, we'll have 3 days of the food room instead of just pizza one day and 2 days of the food room, correct? And Daryl got a percolator for coffee. So we'll have, instead of having just Starbucks coffee in the morning, we'll have like real percolator coffee coming up all day, and it's a little more fancy, I guess. So we're trying to make small improvements every year and everything. So that's what Daryl's goal is for this year. So what? Okay. And then the other thing is what we'll probably also be sending in the next couple of weeks, some like an appeal to all the members to get stuff out on their social media. We're a little behind with promoting stuff, but I know that if we send you an email, we'll send it to the same place we send your newsletter and say, hey, help us post this, and send you like the Facebook event and the post to share and stuff like that. So everybody can kind of do your part and invite your friends and get it on your Facebook and Instagram and everything else. I know we'll do really well with getting people here. So, and then a lot of other people I need to talk to about stuff we need to finish, but not tonight. We'll hopefully talk in the next couple of days. Without further ado, then I'm going to pass it over to Brian and the show committee people. John, I'm going to give you this microphone, John Otter, because you're going to talk at the end. Is that right? I'll give this to you, but Brian, go ahead.
Okay, so the convention in San Diego was a wonderful event, so it was really nice to be there. And so our speaker from last month, Peter Van Wyk from South Africa, was also a speaker at the convention. So when he spoke to us last month, that was only his second day in the United States, his first time ever in the Western Hemisphere. So I really wanted to make sure that while he was here, he saw a little bit of the wonderful place that is California. So after his talk here, I drove him down the coast to Big Sur, and then across the Central Valley, and then into the Mojave Desert, and then down to Anza Borrego, and then to the convention in San Diego, and then afterwards down to Baja. So he really got to see a nice slice of what's wonderful about our part of the world. So that was very nice. He is really a remarkable fellow. He's in his mid-30s, and yet he's coming out with a book on the flora of the Richtersveld that he's worked on for 21 years. So that means he started on that when he was quite young. And he knows more than anybody in the world about the flora of that corner of South Africa. When I was showing him some of my pictures from when I was in Namibia, I was on this mountain in Namibia looking across the Orange River to the Richtersveld on the other side. And there were all these mountain peaks visible in the picture. And he had been up every single one of them and could name them all. So that's really knowing your area. Anyway, I'm sure we'll see more of him in the future. So for today's show and tell, we had on the cactus side, pharaoh cactus. So here we have a classic pharaoh cactus, such as you might see in the desert if you're in Southern California and you go inland to where it gets hot and dry. This is pharaoh cactus acanthides. So they can get quite big. I've seen them in some places taller than me, but usually they're up to waist high, not as big as that. But they're quite variable in their spine color, and they always have a yellow flower, but their spine color can be variable. Sometimes very red, sometimes more straw colored or gray with just a little bit of red like this. And depending on where they are, their bloom time varies. So on my trip on the way down to San Diego, when I saw them in the Mojave Desert, there were none that were in flower. It was too early. But when I got to Anza Borrego, they were all in full flower. So they bloom earlier in the Colorado Desert where Anza Borrego is than they do in the Mojave Desert. But anyway, they also occur in Baja California too. So a wonderful part of our state's flora. And then here we have Pherocactus glaucescens. This one is, and this one is. It's the bluest of the pherocacti. It doesn't ever get as big as acanthides can get, but it can clump and make a nice cluster of heads and gets pretty good size. You can see this one here has both spent flowers and buds on it, so it's right in the middle of its bloom cycle now. Here we have Pherocactus viridescens here. That's one of the pherocacti that's also native to California, along with acanthides. But this one is from coastal Southern California. So it is the most committedly winter rainfall pherocactus there is. So it only grows where the summers are dry and the rainfall's all in the winter. And so therefore, very good plant for California gardens. The name viridescens means becoming green, and that's because the flowers are sometimes yellow or sometimes greenish or sometimes all the way to green. So it depends on the plant. But it's a small pherocactus. Now here we have Pherocactus emeryii, which is one that grows in Arizona and in the Sonoran Desert down in Sonora in Mexico. It gets to be pretty good size too, but you can see already here as a young plant, it's got these great big spines. They look too big for the plant that they're on, but that's a pherocactus for you. This one here is Pherocactus macrodiscus, and that is a very short pherocactus, usually wider than tall. Some places you see it in nature, it kind of almost sinks down into the earth, and then when the rainy season comes, it puffs up a little bit, but it never gets more than a few inches above the ground. There are other places where they do get a little bit taller than that, but never a tall plant at all. It has beautiful pink flowers. And then here, this one here is an oddity, and I don't know what it is. Who brought this one in? Do you know what it is? Okay. It's an unusual pherocactus, and I could not even say what the species is, but it looks pretty cool, whatever it is. Okay, then this one here is Leuchtenbergia principus. Now you might say, pherocactus, why isn't that a pherocactus? Well, Leuchtenbergia is actually an older name than pherocactus, and it's so close to the pherocactus group that they really ought to be in the same genus. But if that were done, because it's the older name, then all the other pherocactus would have to be renamed as Leuchtenbergias. And nobody wanted to do that. That would really get everybody very riled up. So they've just left it as a monotypic, but it really does belong with the pherocactus group. But it's unusual because it has these really elongated tubercles like fingers, but the flower is very much like a pherocactus. Okay, now over here, for succulents, we have kalanchoe. So kalanchoe is in the crassula family, the stonecrop family. And kalanchoes occur in Africa and in Arabia and in Madagascar, more in Madagascar than anywhere else. This is Kalanchoe beharensis from Madagascar. It makes a big shrub like this and very variable. This one here has felted leaves with these odd little projections all over the place, like prickles on the bottom of the leaf. But there are other forms that don't have those projections and other forms that even lack the fuzz and are totally smooth. So very variable, but a really big, impressive plant. This one here is Kalanchoe tomentosa, also from Madagascar, and it has odd sort of maroon flowers or purplish flowers, and it grows on granite domes in central Madagascar. It can become a cluster in time. This one's still single-headed. And then this one here, I forgot the name of. Does anybody know the name of this Kalanchoe? Pumila. So it's a many-headed like shrublet kind of a kalanchoe. But kalanchoe is a big group, very diverse, including the mother of millions type ones that have little plantlets that come on the end of the leaves and fall down and invade everything else in your greenhouse. But they too have beautiful flowers. So we don't have any to show the flowers at this time, but anyway, a nice selection of the species. And then over here in our anything else looking good category, we have an aloe. This is Aloe inyangensis from the Inyanga district in Zimbabwe. You can see it's kind of growing sideways. It grows in rocky places where it kind of drapes down the rocks, has beautiful red flowers when it's in bloom. We have here a Gymnoclesium, Gymnoclesium saglionis, very large for a Gymnoclesium. This is the largest species in the whole genus from Argentina. It has pink or off-white flowers around the top when it's in bloom. And here we have a Neoporteria or Iriaceae. They put all the Neoporterias into Iriaceae now from Chile, and that's in full bloom with beautiful pink flowers. And here we have a Mammillaria from Mexico. It's a form of Mammillaria spinosissima, which usually doesn't have this many heads, but the magenta flowers and a ring around the head is typical. And here we have a medusoid euphorbia. It's a hybrid, but typical of the medusoids. It has that central head with the little cylindrical arms coming out, and it's in full bloom. The blooms are quite small, but there they are in the middle. And then here we have an aloe. This is an aloe hybrid. This is a cross between aloe dichotoma and aloe barbarae. And aloe barbarae is the tallest of all aloes from eastern South Africa. And aloe dichotoma is its western relative in the winter rainfall zone in the west of South Africa. So they have found that when you cross the two of them, you get a plant that's easier to grow than either of the parents. So you see it a lot in gardens in the Bay Area. This gets quite big. The trunk will get like that. You know, it'll be a big plant in time. And then here we have a Pachypodium namaquanum. So this is a very desert-adapted pelargonium from the border between Namibia and South Africa. Peter showed pictures of this at the meeting last month. They call it the Halfmens or the Half Man because of the legend that warriors who came down from Namibia turned around and became transformed into plants, always looking back towards their homeland, towards the north. So nice story. And then here we have a Haworthia. This is a Haworthia hybrid with really exceptional markings on the leaves. You have to look at this one up close because it's a little hard to show it from a distance here. And then we have an Adenium. So we did have Adenia down for our Pachycol this month. And Adenias are in the Passifloraceae, the passion flower family. But the name Adenium is so similar, people oftentimes get them confused. Adeniums are in the Apocynaceae, a totally different family, but also Pachycols too. Okay, well that's a very nice selection of plants, and thank you all for bringing things in.
Okay, hey everyone. So, I went and got two these $15 little gift cards from the San Francisco Botanical Garden, and those are going to be our gifts for the best categories. And I was going to get three, but I ran out of money, and so it's kind of good that nobody brought an Adenia tonight. So there you go. So this plant wins for best pharaoh cactus. And this plant wins for best kalanchoe. And thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take a short break and then come back with our program. Okay, everybody, if you could find your way back to your seats, we'd like to get going with our program.
This probably gets the most water because this was on the edge of where the plastic ends. So over the winter, it got in and I did not because
Test, test. Yeah.
Okay, seats, please. Seats, please. Which ones are those? Which? Oh, yeah. Oh, oh. You might as well. You might as well. Yeah. Yeah. So you brought it this far. We have to get it going again.
Let me do the herding and then you can do the introduction. All right, everybody, just so we can stay on time, let's go ahead and take our seats and I'm gonna give it to Brian to introduce our speaker tonight. So if you could please stop your conversations and let's get going.
Okay, well, we are very fortunate here in San Francisco to have some very talented people in our midst. And one of them is Ron Parsons. He is an expert on orchids and has written several books on orchids. He is also an expert on Calicortus and wrote a book on Calicortus. But he loves cacti and succulents and has done a lot of investigation of different habitats where they grow in the Western United States. And this is a roundup of all different places where he's been and seen cacti and succulents in the American West. Ron?
Is it possible to make it a little bit darker in here? I like the pictures to really shine. So listen, I've been a member here for 25, 30 years. I don't even really know how long. And I haven't been to a lot of the meetings all during COVID. So I've kind of resurfaced a little bit for going to the meetings. But as Brian just stated, I really love taking pictures. I love photography. With my co-author, Mary, in the second row there, I got her a membership here a couple months ago to be part of this.
These off?
Yes, please. Yeah. So between our books with Mary, I have about 60 articles I've helped with, and I've got like 6,500 published plant pictures. And so I can't stop doing it. I love, as I've been growing Haworthias for about 50 years, some cacti also for about that long. But my main love is orchids. So our 5 books, 4 of them are on orchids, and 1 is on the genus of geophytes, of bulbs of Western North America and Mexico. So it's kind of a little bit of a mix. And to be honest, as much as I love cacti and succulents, there's a lot of you here that are much more knowledgeable than I. I just love taking photos. And interestingly, many of the things you'll see tonight were because I was looking for something else. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start. This is just my entry photo of a bitterroot. The bitterroot is the Lewisia. This is, I think, one of the ones it's found throughout the Western United States, but it's geophyte. It has a very large tuberous root that is eventually edible with a lot of processing. It's bitter root, hence. And so it's the state flower, I believe, of, is it Montana or Idaho? Anyway, it comes in a variety of color forms. I believe this was taken up on the top of Mount Diablo along the Summit Trail. So anyway, this is all local stuff. All right, so obviously a map of the Western United States, no big surprise there. So my friend and I, Mary and other friends, have traveled through all the states to see things. So I'm just going to start. So I couldn't think of a way to really do this with any kind of, that made much sense. I kind of did it chronologically. So I started doing digital photography back in 2009. My first trips were actually in the start of 2010. And so that's when I started really getting serious about going out and taking lots of photos digitally. I have 150,000 slides, but now I don't know what to do with them, right? So anyway, so these are kind of serious Ingomani. This is in the Ingomani. This is in the Mojave Desert, the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada. It's a wonderful place to go see flowers, particularly, and you'll see the dates here, so it gives you an idea of when to go looking for things in our area. So I've got the dates and the counties that they were found in. So that's a real lovely hedgehog cactus. So as I said, our second book, I didn't say what it was about, but our second book was on the genus Calicortus. It's
Video,
America's
audio.
lilies. It's a subfamily of the
There's
lily
nothing you
family,
can
so
do.
they're bulbs
Mute
and
my
geophytes.
audio.
And this is the
Oh,
desert
no,
mariposa,
Greg.
and sometimes
That's-
it can be very
You
profusely
don't want
flowering.
audio.
It
They
comes
can
in
hear me
it comes in a
talking.
nearly red color. This is the orange form, and there's a bright yellow chrome form we've seen in a. It's more than just in Death Valley and Wild Rose Canyon, but it's a
Your
real good
audience,
place to go see
please
the bright
mute
yellow
your
form. Anyway, this is a nice
video,
display
your
of it.
audio.
This is over Westgard Pass and down the other side. And up on this hillside, there was lots of the Sclerocactus polyancistris, which evidently is not a very easy cactus to grow in cultivation. So I think you really pretty much have to see it in nature to appreciate its flowering. So I think it's a beautiful species. And I've actually seen some quite large ones, not as fat as this one, but as tall as this ferocactus here. So they can get quite large. I was surprised at that. So just a couple of the flowers that were there, a globe mallow there on the right, on the left, and a salvia, a sage there on the right. These are just things in the same area. This is also in the White Mountains. So this is the Apuntia arenacea, which means like a hedgehog, which it's interesting because the spines don't really, I mean, you could stick your finger on them, but they're not one of those ones that leaves glochids in your finger. At least I've not found it to leave glochids in your finger, little tiny, bristly, irritating spines. Anyway, it's a really beautiful species. We have one growing in our front yard, and there's a plant of it there growing with some eriogonums, or also known as buckwheats, there on the right. That's the plant habit. And of course, Apuntia basilaris, the beaver tail cactus, is quite abundant in a lot of places in the Eastern Sierra and other places of California and other states. So again, I'm still actually in the White Mountains. I didn't realize I had this much. So the bitterroot that I showed you right off the bat, it is a geophyte, but this is a little tiny form. I mean, I waited, it seemed like hours for it to open in the morning. It didn't open until about 11:30. The flower is only about 1 inch across, so it's a real tiny little form called variety minor, and that's just kind of the habitat it grows there on the right. So this is the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada. This is the what's the large mount? Thank you. It's the largest mountain in the lower 48. Anyway, this is the Alabama Hills. So I love the dichotomy of the rocks, the really incredible rocks, and then of course you got the snow-capped peaks of the eastern Sierra on the backside. So beautiful place. And there it is. Just an incredible place. It's really good for cacti too. Okay, so this is just kind of a random thing, but chronologically through the western states. So Sedum spathifolium, I think everyone knows that it's common. It's actually buy it commonly at nurseries. It's almost always a lithophyte growing on rock faces, and that's just a nice plant of it in bloom. Growing with nearby was Iris macrocyphon. So I'm kind of throwing extra pictures in for the subject at hand. So this is another Lewisia. This is actually kind of a wetter growing species, but this is Lewisia nevadensis. It's quite common. It's not just from Nevada. It's actually, I've not seen it in Nevada, although I've not looked for it there. It's quite common through Northern California in wetter spots. And a beautiful little bulb called a fritillaria. This is a fritillaria glauca, taken about 6,000 feet in Mendocino, what's the other county? What is it? Glenn County, thank you. I've given this talk for a while, so anyway, it's a great place for flowers. This is up in Northern California. You get to this location off of Highway 5. This is another Lewisia called Leanna, and so that's the plant habit on the left, and this is a bunch of them been flowering on the right, so beautiful geophyte. And another one was up in the region, so that's the area where I saw the Leanna, but also we found this Lewisia triphylla, so it's a little succulent, but it's not, I don't think it likes prolonged drought. So Mary and I, we did the Mariposa Lily book in 2015, 5 or 6, something like that. But we kept going and looking for things. And this is a species found in the Rocky Mountains, and it's found in northern Arizona. But in New Mexico, for some reason, it's usually white with a beautiful center in the bottom. Almost everywhere it's white. But there's 2 populations in New Mexico. This rich purple one is in the Jemez Mountains, and then there's a sulfur yellow form in at about 10,000 feet up in another set of mountains. So anyway, we were here looking for this, but just this is not in bloom, unfortunately, but some nice cacti were there to be found. Escobaria missouriensis, I believe. Brian can correct me if you'd like to. I know he can mention a lot of the names for me. So anyway, so back in the Eastern Sierra Nevada, this is just a nice Plantivicana cactus polycephalus. So it's it's called the cotton top cactus because of often the dried seed heads. I've yet to see it flower because it blooms in the middle of summer, and over there it can be about in the hundreds when flowering. So I've yet to ever see the species in bloom, but I've seen multitudes of clusters like this. Individually, the heads are not that big. They're a little bit bigger than this kind of cactus, pharaoh cactus here. But yeah, it's just a really beautiful, very stiff spine species. And in that same area, not far away, is a wonderful petroglyph area. I think these are either Shoshone or Paiute hieroglyphs. Unfortunately, some rich doctor in the area had all these chipped off the rocks, and they actually caught them. I don't know what they've done with them, but I think they should have. Well, they should have hung them, I think. Anyway, beautiful stuff. So Mary and I and other friends went up to Eastern Washington to see this rare form of this Mariposa lily here, the sagebrush Mariposa lily. And so we saw Eastern Washington is actually quite dry. There's a number of cacti up there. This one was in bloom up here, the Opuntia polyacanthus. The whipples, I don't know what you really call it. The yucca we're familiar with locally. It's all around like San Benito County, Monterey County. You'll see it in the chaparral. It's no longer a yucca, it's a Hespero yucca. So I don't know if it constitutes being a succulent, but it's sort of a stately plant. So this is whipple-eye. And of course, I just put this picture of the Matilaha poppy. Those are about 6-foot tall poppies with flowers about 6 inches across. So beautiful. So again, Mariposa lilies are very prominent in this because this is how I see a lot of these other plants. So we went to San Diego County. These are, Calicornis dunnii is an endemic to San Diego County. And Weedii is like Riverside in San Diego County and down into Baja. Form of it's down in Baja. So these were here, but we went to the Torrey Pines area. This wasn't Torrey Pines, this was somewhere else in San Diego County, but this is Dudleya pulverulenta in full bloom. In the springtime, when you're out traveling around April, the rosettes are just beautiful. They haven't dried up yet. They're about a foot across. They're beautiful glaucous, chalky leaves. And then when they flower, the rosette starts to look a little bit ragged, but the flowers are pretty impressive. So I like, as I said, I love going to the coast, particularly. I love the things at the coast. And a lot of our Dudleyas are found at the coast. And this is palmeri, found in San Luis Obispo County, although it's probably more widespread than that. But fortunately, I was able to have a few pictures put in the new Dudleya book. I think I've got like 10 or 12 pictures in the new Dudleya book. So I got a little bit of help from that book. Up in Tulare County, we went to see this very rare narrow endemic iris. This is the largest of the California iris called Munzii. Anyway, so this is one of the Sierran forms of Dudleya cymosa. Now that species has been divided into a bunch of subspecies. And I tried reading it recently, and I tried to differentiate and understand it a little better, and I left more confused than ever. So I'm just gonna call them cymosas for now. So anyway, I went to Josephine County. It's a great botanical area. There's lilies, there's the cobra lilies, the carnivorous plant, the cobra lilies, there's azaleas, violets. Yeah, it's just an incredible botanic region, the very southwest corner of Oregon. So I was up there looking, I found this Lewissia oppositifolia. It kind of grows a seasonally wet species. And of course, this is a lithophytic or rock-growing species of sedum. I believe it's laxum is what I came up with, but you can see it's a beautiful little rosette. This is the Illinois River up in that region. So very, very nice area to go botanizing. This is just in San Mateo County. This is our coastal iris. Douglas's iris ranges from Southern Oregon down to, I believe, Santa Barbara County. So it's our only real true coastal species of iris. I think we have 11 species of irises in this section. And this is I believe, Dudleya farinosa, which is quite widespread north and south of the San Francisco Bay Area. And this one has very large rosettes, up to 6 or so inches across, unlike other places I've seen. And I do understand that they hybridize with anything they come across, like any other species, they'll hybridize and take on characteristics of related nearby species. So I'm not certain about a lot of these. Up in Sonoma County, this is also Farinosa, but these plants are just in the rock growing. I went to go see these calicortus, but also this place is a wonderful flowery place. And so got 2 color forms of the same Dudley Farinosa. You got the red, sometimes it's almost green, and then you got the glaucous form on the right with the red outer leaves. Again, this is you can see the 2 forms growing side by side there on the left hand. So I'm not sure what this Dudley is down at Point Lobos. This is Point Lobos Marine Reserve. It can be very flowery, late May, early June, and actually this is late June here. But the Dudleys are all over the rocks. You can just see they're just hanging down by threads, it seems. Anyway, I don't know what it is. Maybe someone might know, but it's a beautiful place to go botanizing, or even just to see the sights. Point Lobos is a truly beautiful part of California. So there's a couple more pictures of the area. You can see Dudleys are in bloom there on the right. Interestingly, there's other parts of the reserve where the flowers are extremely pale yellow. So yeah, I don't know if it's a hybrid swarm or what. They're like that. They could be like this. And there's more. So actually, if you see the plants, you get the non-native ice plant, obviously, but you see that looks like little gray areas. Those are all Dudleas, and they hang come right down the sides of the cliffs there. So up in Douglas County, Oregon, that's about 100 miles into Oregon. So nothing really special. Sedum stenopedalum is a little annual. I believe this is a annual species. Anyway, it's cute, liked it. And of course, a really nice crop of the Sedum spatulifolium. So a number of years ago, we went to, I've been back, but to basically the Utah-Colorado border. And it's quite rich in cacti. So anyway, we went there to see the Mariposa lily on the right, which is called the sago lily. The sago lily is the only Mariposa that's called a sago lily, and that's because the bulb is starchy. It could be eaten, and evidently the Paiute Indians, the Mormons, when they got there, were starving. So the Paiute said, if you eat the bulbs of this plant, cooked or raw, it'll save your lives, and it did, and it became their state flower. So it's the state flower of Utah. It's also one of the most beautiful calicortus, so you'll see it wide. It's quite widespread in Utah, Colorado, and actually I think it even goes up to the edges of South Dakota. So anyway, beautiful sclerocactus. Again, it's the only way I've ever seen them. I've actually never seen sclerocactus in captivity or cultivation. And I think there's some things that have been put into sclerocactus that might be grown, but I've yet to see one that I know as a sclerocactus in cultivation. So, but this place was amazing for this Mariposa lily. This is why we went to this region. So this is the typical color form of the Mariposa lily. Again, I think it's another Sclerocactus parviflorus, and just an amazing. I mean, anyone who likes calicortus, you get pretty excited when you see these. So, and then of course, a kind of serious coccinus was there in flower too, so, which is a nice bonus also. So. On that same trip, we just stopped. I saw some nice yuccas. I believe this is Harrimanii, so it makes these beautiful. I'm not sure the one on the right is. The plant looks quite different, and I don't know, Brian might know. Is it? So does the one on the right? I mean, both of them, you believe are Harrimanii? Okay, they're just so different looking, but yeah, I thought they probably were. And that plant on the right was just so attractive. I think it was like a 6-inch plant, just such a pretty plant. So again, the sago lily was there. This is in Utah. This is actually near Arches. So another sclera, probably parviflorus. I believe this is Opuntia fragilis. I don't know Opuntias that well. It's full of little bugs, but a beautiful Asclepias or milkweed on the right there. So of course, like I told you, everywhere I go, it's got to be. It's not cacti and succulents are not the main thing, but I got a photograph from them if they're there. So we went to the petrified forest. This is a very close relative of the sago lily, but it's just found in the petrified. It's just found in Arizona. Not endemic to Arizona, but it's got a much more limited range to it. But anyway, it's a beautiful species, Calicortus aureus. It was interesting. I was photographing these at the petrified forest, and I noticed this car was parked out in the street, like 100 yards away. was a ranger, and he was waiting for us to be done. He had me basically empty my pockets this year. I wasn't filling it with petrified wood. So, yeah. And I had, unfortunately. So Gila or Gila County, Arizona. This is kind of, yeah, what was the city that was there? Anyway, I was driving by one time. I had gone on my own, and I think it was with Mary, actually. This calicortus is typically a white-flowered species, and we noticed in this region that they were all purple to pink, so we stopped for that. Brian, is this agave palmeri? Yeah, it's north of Tonto. It's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 miles north of Tonto.
No, agave palmeri does grow in the whole southern half of the state.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, the Escobari were in full bloom, which I thought was just fantastic to see those. I mean, they were scattered around in the forest. It was a pine forest with the agaves. It was pretty amazing little habitat. Again, another one, much fuller segments, just a really beautiful set of plants. So up in Lake County, this is actually a really good area for the bitter roots. And it's, so some places it grows in pure serpentine, right? It's got this, as I said, a big chunky taproot. Other places it grows in non-ultramafic soils or non-serpentine type soils. Anyway, it's a nice population, kind of in the Clear Lake area, growing in serpentine outcrops there. So there's some repetitiveness to this thing. I wish I need to go out and see more things, but anyway, just a lighter color variety, but you can see it's growing in pure serpentine. Up in the Rockies of Colorado, this is not really a succulent, but it's a stone crop family, rhodiola. I think at one point it used to be a sedum. I think they use it, I think there's some herbal uses you can buy rhodiola. I forgot the reason for that, but anyway, it's in flower here. And in another part there was, I believe this is kind of serious viridiflorus, unfortunately not in flower, but it would have green flowers. And I don't think the one on the left is the same thing, but then again, just nice little habitat shots. And in Rocky Mountain National Park, this sedum is quite common. I saw someplace it might be Amerisedum, but anyway, sedum lanceolatum is found in up in the Sierra Nevada. I don't know its full range, but it's found all the way to the Rockies. And this is just a nice, it was a day that we were thinking it's going to start throwing lightning bolts at any time, so we kind of weren't there that long, but yeah, beautiful field of the same sedum. And a beautiful alpine forget-me-not, Mertensia ciliata, and the American pica is a rabbit, same order as rabbits, lagomorphs. They're not rodents. Rabbits are not rodents, so rodents are a whole different order of animals. So rabbits, hares, and picas are lagomorphs. Anyway, it's like a little mini short-eared rabbit, basically, and always at high elevations. They're found around the world. I've seen them in China. They're not found in the southern hemisphere, I don't believe, but anyway. Again, and this is Alpine County, California. This is up in the Sierra Nevada. Again, just the same species you saw a minute ago, the sedum lanceolatum. So I went to Joshua Tree for my first time in 2016 in, it was late March. So anyway, got to see some great stuff there. More of the purple hedgehog cactus we saw right off the bat, the Engelmannii, and Yucca scidigera, beautifully in flower. This is a beautiful area. I forgot what they call the area. It's a little place that they tell you to go see. It's one of the stops you go see and they have a name for it, a nickname for it. But anyway, it's this beautiful choias, although when you walk out there, there's pads all over the place. And if you walk too closely, they'll attach themselves to you and they can be quite painful. But anyway, I think it's a Cylindropuntia echinocarpa. Bigeloviae. So obviously the Joshua tree is a Yucca brevifolia. They had a lot of damage during COVID. I guess a lot of people went out there and hit them with their cars and stuff like that. So it's really a shame because one little branch of that, I don't know how long to grow. And these are quite old trees. It's really a shame. Ferocactus, is this Cylindropuntia? And so beautiful ferocactus. And this is an unusual bifurcated one there on the left. I thought was pretty cool. Mostly they're, single cylindrical stems. Anyway, they have beautiful flowers, just have a ring of flowers at the top. And of course, I like the Yocotillos, the Falcarias. So the family, it's a fairly small family. Idria is in that family now, or has always been? It's monotypic, okay, all right. So anyway, this is in full bloom. This is after the winter rains, and they were just incredibly beautiful. I mean, all of them were in bloom like this. And that's the flowers up close. So everywhere I see Dahlia mimosa, I photograph, but I do see differences in them. I don't really, as I said, I tried to look up the subspecies names. I really just don't know. So I think this is Simosa, subspecies Simosa. But this is the same species down off of Panoche Road down in San Benito County. So you can see it's got these little kind of light yellowish flowers. The growth habit is different. It is growing on rocks, so it's a lithophyte, but it is, I believe it's a separate subspecies. It's the same kind you would see it up in Mount Diablo. It's kind of in a direct line. The range of mountains is kind of a line straight up. So that the same variation is found at Mount Diablo on the rocks there in part. So another geophyte, this is Lewisia cotyledon. This is seen up in far northern California. And there's, I think, several subspecies of it. I don't know the difference between them, but it's a beautiful geophyte. You see this offered many, many places in various color forms that were bred to be like oranges and yellows and stuff. I don't know if those color forms occur in the wild at all, but the typical color form is this, the pink with the white edges. And there's just a whole serpentine outcropping full of them. So back down to Torrey Pines, down in San Diego County. I've been there a number of times. I went to go see the Calochortus weedii. It blooms in July. It's a beautiful species, extremely variable in shape and color, and it always has a little dark spot at the base of each one of its hairs on the petals. But Pherocactus viridescens grows there. This is kind of a small plant, but you can see it's flowered already. I missed the flowers there. This is quite a large one there, just further down one of the trails. So. And Apuntia, I believe, is littoralis, which means coast. Littoralis means like close to the coast. Mono County is up in the Sierra Nevada. I got another example of the Sedum lanceolatum, and what I believe is Obtusatum, another beautiful lithophytic species of stone crops. So, and this is just something I threw in there. This is called kitten paws. It's a member of the Portulaca family, or maybe, I can't remember if it's that or the Montiaceae, the miner's lettuce family, but anyway, it's a very cute little thing. It's not succulent, but it does last for a long time once it dries out for the year. Here I'm in Fresno County. Mira and I drove down. I think she or I were speaking in Fresno one day. We just drove down Highway 49 it goes up north and south of the Sierra foothills, and we found this variety or this variation of Dahlia mimosa. So very dense flower, but brilliant yellow. I had not seen yellow examples of the species ever before, so that was pretty cool. Back to Joshua tree, a mammillaria species, I believe. Could this be Coryphantha? There's a Coryphantha, the Alversini or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, not in bloom, unfortunately. And just the yucca, again, a nice example of the Joshua tree with a head of flowers coming out of one of them, just erupting. Anza-Borrego, the same trip. I think the next day I went down to Anza-Borrego. So I think I got this as Cylinder Puntia ganderi. Did they take a gander on that? Did they get it right? All right, I hope so. Can't be all wrong. And beautiful. And the first time I got to see this one in bloom in the wild, this Mammillaria dioica. Just a really beautiful species that has large flowers for a mammillaria. I thought it was just great. So walking around in this area on the left, got the agaves, got the Echinocereus, the mammillarias were just kind of mixed in there and around the rock. So it's really fun to just get out and see stuff. I mean, we live in California is where most of my travels are. So it's a state worth exploring. We have a lot to offer, and I think just go out and get there, go out and see things. So anyway, Yucca scidigera, these are just in flower there. This is actually dropping down towards Palm Springs, but we're up in the fairly high elevation plateau, and I got the inflorescence just erupting there out of the center of the flower, center of the inflorescence. I'm sorry? The blue flower was probably a Phacelia. Yeah. So I'm guessing that's Agave desertii. Beautiful. I thought they're beautiful because after the winter rains, they're all plump and very turgid looking, very, very beautiful plants. And there's a little number of them there, and that is a Phacelia there. So what's Pinnacles? Pinnacles is something that we really are lucky to have so close. It's actually, you feel like you're in Utah when you're there. It's an incredible rock formations. Mary and I did a trip to go see a parasitic plant called a broom rape last year. It was hellacious. I swear, we did the summit trail and you're walking up. I mean, I never want to do it again. It was like 11-mile hike and I was beat. And thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I was hobbled coming down the hill. I swear. I thought, oh no, I still got 4 miles to go down to the car. I was like, oh. And we did not find the broom rape. So anyway, but this is pretty cool. I mean, it's not in flower, but that's the largest, densest population of deadliest mimosa I'd seen. Probably not that's out there, but it was a nice population of it. Unfortunately, not in flower. Back down to Riverside County, probably looking for Mariposa lilies. Yeah, I was for one called concolor, beautiful yellow to orange species, and this beautiful Cylindropuntia was in flower. Very, very lovely plant of it. So they're nice if you stand back. I mean, if you don't touch it, it's a beautiful group of plants. And Opuntia phaeacanthus is there in different color forms, so it's a lovely thing. So down in, actually, for those of you who knew Anne Shine, this is directly opposite where she lived in Seaside. So there's a road called Reservation Road. That's the exit you used to take for Anne Shine. So if you go to the right towards the ocean, there's a little boardwalk in a sand dune area. And unfortunately, I think the boardwalk is swallowed up by the sand dune, but you can walk around in there still. And I believe this is Dudleya cespitosa. Cespitosa, I now saw is spelled without the A, but there's lots of it. There's kind of these little, not much of a plant, they're not very attractive rosettes, but when they flower, they're pretty fun. This is just down the road. The same day, went down to Big Sur, looked over at the coast. I thought that is pretty cool. So we have a great coastline. Another Lewisia that I actually just ran into in 2020 for the first time. A friend of mine was up in the Sierra foothills and was wandering around and sent me pictures of he goes, what's this? And it's Lewisia calagia. So another Lewisia there for you. Back to, this is Table Mountain Reserve up in Butte County. So if you've never been there, it's one of the most beautiful, incredible wildflower displays in California. Unfortunately, they changed the paths around the park, so you can't get to what you're going to see easily anymore. But again, more bitterroots. They're not really densely flowered there, but I threw it in there for a title picture. And of course, that's the only geophyte there that I know of. But this is the kind of displays that you see there. It's incredible. Just the lupins when they're dense like that, they smell like grape soda. The poppy is a different kind of California poppy, different Schultzia species. Just incredible. And this is all basalt outcrops. So the flowers kind of flow around the contours of the basalt. But just incredible. I highly recommend that if you hear it's a good year. Definitely worth going up there around April 10th or so. So, all right. So back to now these are some new photos. So this is almost the end here. So as I said, down at Pinoche Road in San Benito County, it actually goes from south of Hollister, and it's north of where you'd go in for which part of the Pinnacles? The north end or this? Which side? Yeah, I guess it is the south side of the Pinnacles anyway, so it's not far from where you'd go for the Pinnacles, but you can go all the way out almost to Highway 5 on this Pinoche Road. Anyway, so this is the same kind of dudley that I said I saw at Mount Diablo. Anyway, so this is again, it's a subspecies. Which one I don't know, and I wish I could study it. Last year, so a few years ago, so with our Calicortus, we've seen them all. We've been to Mexico, we've seen all but the most newest named one species. We've seen all the species there. And my main focus has been looking for the natural hybrids. So Carl took me to a place, one of the parents is called the Oakland Star Tulip, and it's a little pale, small, pink flowered one. And then the other one is it's the Mount Diablo globally, a bright yellow ball. Anyway, so when it hybridizes, you get this kind of semi-open pale white one. So we've been going up there since we found the first one. I found the first ones about, maybe, I guess Mary was there too, about 8-9 years ago. I've gone back every year and we only find one or two. We went this year just a couple weeks ago and only found one plant and it wasn't in bloom, unfortunately. 2 miles down, 2 miles up. Anyway, so Mary, we're walking down and Mary goes, oh, you know what? We never see snakes in this trail. And I go, well, okay, yeah, all right. So we're walking back up and I go, and Mary steps over this. She steps over this. I go, Mary, you almost stepped on a rattlesnake's head. Like she was completely oblivious, right? All right. So anyway, this is the Pacific rattlesnake. So granted, he was a little sleepy, he was a little cold. Yeah. I think Mary was too, though. I don't know. So this is one of the things, like everything you've seen, pretty much, there can be rattlesnakes there. So you gotta watch out. It isn't just all fun, you know? So anyway. Yeah, it was, right? Anyway, so this is the Mount Diablo Forum. This is on the road up Mount Diablo up to the north gate entrance. So anyway, beautiful. So I had a friend out from Germany. I met this couple 20-something years, well, no, about 20 years ago in Crete. And they were looking at orchids, and this little mountain you could walk around in about 7 or 8 minutes, really. We could walk on the base of it. Had 18 species of orchids on this mountain. It was fantastic. And in the field, all around the mountain, was a whole bunch of, like, thousands of bright red tulip species. So it was a really cool place. And this German couple sitting there with a baby in the backpack. He was 2 years old at the time. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, we're looking at the orchids. I said, that's what we're doing. And so anyway, talking, hey, well, how many orchids can you see in Germany in a week? Oh, V can show you 22 species. So we made plans. We've had a blast. I've watched Heiko grow up. He and I have the same birthday. And he came out, he was the first of the family to come out 2 years ago. And I took him everywhere. We went to San Luis Obispo County for the day to go see the elephant seals. And so we saw everything else. So anyway, this is a very narrow endemic Mariposa lily. This is the San Luis Obispo Mariposa lily. Only occurs in the county. And while looking for it, we found the very first ones of the season at this one place, the Serpentine area. And we found this Dudley Abramsii subspecies marina. So you can just see it has very little weird, cuppy, brownish flowers. And that's quite an uncommon onion species right above with the pink flowers. Anyway, it was a pretty fun day. So up Northern California, I took him, we went into Oregon. He was only here for like 10 days and we went everywhere. So in Humboldt County, we saw these beautiful coastal spathulifoliums. I mean, they get salt spray on them. They were really close to the water. And we went up further up into Oregon and we found one of our 3 native lady super orchid species in profusion. So Cypripedium californicum. On a trip, not with Heiko, I guess Heiko was there. We came back down the Highway 395. 395 runs from, I guess, almost to Los Angeles County, almost to. It goes down the eastern side of the Sierra all the way up to Washington State. So when you get in Lassen County, this is what I was talking about. This if you walk out there, the dirt is like powder puff. You step on it, it just makes a little cloud. So this is not serpentine soil as far as I know, but this beautiful thousands of plants of this white bitterroot was there. So it was really an incredible area. So then we took him down to, Mary and I went down to San Luis Obispo later after he was gone. He left in June. So I went down to see, I forgot what we went to go see, but we found this population of really kind of different looking Dudley cesspitosus. I thought they were just really beautiful. They're actually more beautiful than the ones I felt in Monterey. But what I really wanted to see here was this. This is called a sand food. It's a parasitic plant. It used to be a small family called Lenoaceae. Anyway, so it turns out through DNA work, it's actually nothing more than a parasitic forget-me-not. So, but still very cool. I think it's very cool. Anyway, there's another species in Imperial County that's called the Christmas tree. I've yet to see it. There's only 2 as far as I know. So always in sandy areas. Isn't that the sand food? That's not the Christmas tree, though. I've never seen it at Christmas. Have you seen it? Oh. Okay. That's good. That's good. I need people like you. All right. So anyway, this is San Mateo County. This is down the coast by Pescadero. In July, this is when you go to see the Dudley farinosus in bloom. All the ones you've seen before have all been in May, like late May, late May, but they're beautiful rosettes. They at the coast, obviously all at the coast. In July and into August, they're in flower. So that's your first pictures of farinosa in flower at the coast. And I went to go see this Lady Tress's orchid. This is one of 3 species we got in California. They're called Lady Tresses because the spiral thing is an old hairdo style. So anyway, but it's got a beautiful, so this is Spiranthes romanzophiana, and the same species occurs all the way to New England. It's found in Iceland, and I think they've even found it in Great Britain. So it's a pretty widespread orchid, but common really nowhere. going up to Northern California. So I go to see this broomrape. This is the parasitic plant here on the left. There's no plant to it. What you're seeing it next to is a gum, what do they call it? It's a daisy, a gum plant? Anyway, that is parasitizing it. That plant is just like a head of snapdragon flowers coming out of the ground, and they're attached on a thing called a hostelum to its host. So it's feeding off of that daisy there, that, I want to call it gum flower? Tarweed, it's a tarweed, anyway. One of the many tarweeds, I believe. Anyway, Phyllum californicum. And of course, this is another beautiful plant of Dudley Afernos in full bloom. So you can see it's August, early August now. So that's it. This is a picture I took last year. I didn't have any pictures to show you for last year, but this is a picture to remind you to go out and look at things. Go out and see the beauty of what we got, because we really, I've heard a statistic that California has as many plant species as the eastern United States, east of the Mississippi, from Maine to Florida, right? So California is extremely rich. So that's saying it all. So thank you for having me. It's been a long time, but I hope you liked it. Thanks. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Good. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I don't go looking for them. They're there, I photograph them, yeah. So it's the Mariposa lilies, it's the fritillarias, it's the real lilies, it's the orchids, it's stuff like that that gets me out there. But yeah, plenty to see. Yeah. Yes, Carl.
You said something about Table Mountain, the place where you can see all the Ulysses is hard to get to now?
Oh, no, so have you been there before? Yeah. So you know when you walk down to the waterfalls, there's a waterfall that you walk down, kind of straight out of the parking lot, you kind of go downhill. So the Ulysses are all kind of right there by the parking lot, by the road, in the flat serpentine area. But there's a couple of waterfalls. They're not like outrageous, but they're nice. If you go down towards those, they fenced off huge areas so that you can maybe get some panoramas. Like everything to the north seems to be open, but they cut off a large part of it where it's not the same.
It was a bit of a hike to get to this area where all the plants were, and there were a lot of rock.
Outcrops, the basalt?
Well, no, people had made these rock art pebbles, and then plants were growing around, in and around.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Yeah.
Mosaics. So that's a different area in the same place.
Yeah, so as far as I know, I went like 2 or 3 years ago, and they noticed they changed they put a big fenced area in there, because a lot of that's on private land, right? They let the cows go out there after all the seed caps lifted. So as far as I know, because our dog went there with us, you can bring dogs, and my dog got in there and immediately rolled in the freshest cow pie he could find. Like, oh no, we just got here, right? So.
There's a ranch that's immediately adjacent.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
That's for sale now.
Oh, for sale?
For less than $1 million.
I'll be right up there, yeah.
They use it as stables.
It would be nice if the state would buy it, right?
Zoo ranch.
Right,
For several decades.
yeah. That's cool. I hope they do something with it. Right there, that's Calochortus venustus. So that's such a variable species. I have 1,700 pictures of that species alone. Seriously, I'm not kidding. But we want to do a new book on Mariposa lilies, because our first one was Timber Press, 149 photos. The book we did with our miniature orchid species book, I've got 3,100 photos in it, and he said you can have as many photos as you like. It just is a little bit of an issue with him. But anyway, well, I'd like to redo it. So yeah, and I'd have a lot of those, because those come in purple, yellow, orange, rust, calico, picotee, pink, long sepals, short sepals. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's got white.
White, yeah, the dominant one.
Can you grow them in cultivation?
They do grow them in cultivation, yeah, but they're not like they get a summer drought, have to have summer drought, sharp drainage. Yeah, they're not much to look at except when they're in bloom. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Just a reminder, there is no regular monthly meeting next month. the programs at the show and sale take the place of the regular monthly meeting. So don't come here on the third Tuesday of the month. Yeah, and one other quick announcement is that the Arizona Garden Volunteer Weekend next month falls on the same weekend as the show and sale, so it'll be 1 week later. We'll reschedule it to 1 week later. And Carl had an announcement too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you've been with the club for a while, you might remember a guy named Jack Halpern. Jack had this amazing collection of minerals in his basement, all in display cases, and he would take anybody who wanted to see all his beautiful minerals. And was like a world-class collection. I remember him coming to the club from time to time because he also grew plants. I hadn't seen him for a long time, and last time I saw him at the club, he was 95. And then I hadn't seen him for a long time, 5, 6 years. There was COVID, and then a couple more. I tried calling him at his house, no answer. It wasn't a number anymore, disconnected. So I thought, well, he's gone. So I wanted to find out what happened to the collection, so I did some research online and found a number for one of his kids and called her up. And I said, I hadn't seen your father for a long time. It's been 10 years since I've seen him. And I just wondered whatever happened to him and the collection. And she said, oh, he's still alive. I said, what? He's still alive? Well, where is he living? She said, he's in Mill Valley. I said, well, I'm in Mill Valley. Where is he? He's at the Redwoods. I said, nice talking to you. I have to go. So I ran down there and I got to see him. He was 104, and if he's still alive, he had his 105th birthday this month. So if you want to go see him, go to the Redwoods. And I hope he's still around. Jack Halpern. Jack Halpern. Go see him.
Yeah, Helen found out. All right, Zoomies. I'm going to go ahead and shut this room down. Oh, thanks for that information. Great.